Welcome back to the Sika Strength News Show, brought to you by the Sika Strength app. As always, today we're looking at what I'm going to call the triumphant return of everyone's favourite Korean weightlifter, Lee Sang-young. So, about 41 weeks ago, to be precise, he had a major shoulder surgery. Say that a couple of times fast.
A serious shoulder injury.
Don't say it fast. And I've been watching his comeback with interest. Now, obviously, right, Lee Sang-young isn't a world record breaker. He actually missed out in the last Olympics, but he's a cultural favourite. Lee Sang-young is someone who just catches the eye. He's someone who's good for the sport, in my opinion. Not least of which, he's really jacked and lean, which adds to his mystique, right? That helps hugely. His lifts are obviously incredibly impressive. He lifts massive weights relative to his body weight, but just compared to that teeny tiny little top echelon of other weightlifters, you know, when he's lifting in a time with someone like Rizky, Ratmat, Xizhang, he just, unfortunately, has lost out a little bit. Now, on top of his physique and obviously elite level lifting, what people love, and what I love, is some of the things he does in training. For example, 170 kilos for a set of 20. For some reason, like this was done 5 weeks ago, right?
It's an exercise in absurdity.
But then he'll go and do a competition 4 weeks after this, which he did. He did 135, 175. Like, he'll do things like this, not as a base phase. He's not doing this 12 months out from competition. He just seems to sprinkle things in all year. Now, we had the fortunate ability to visit the South Korean Olympic Center in the mountains, a couple of hours from Seoul. We were very fortunate. Not a lot of people are left go there, which was great. And we saw the national team training. We saw their big Friday. Friday's on fire. And Lee Sang is basically self-coach. He kind of does his own thing. The dynamics of that and the politics of that were a little bit weird, I'll be honest with you. And it was interesting to watch it happening. Because obviously if a head coach, multiple coaches, medical staff, all of that good stuff. And it's a really well-run system. And they take care of the lifters. So it was interesting. He does his kind of own thing. And me and Dara have been over and back and kind of why it's left. I don't want to comment on that too much because I don't want to take the shine off Lee, because what is he doing? Like, he's got such a great deadlift as well. Like 250 kilos by 2. He's a 70-odd kilo lifter. Who knows what weight class he'll in them but now. But these are just massive numbers. Like, he's a cultural icon for weightlifting. And that's why I just wanted to do today's episode, because he's kind of close back to his top peak shape, which I'm very delighted to see.
I think one of the main reasons he's kind of out there in the zeitgeist is you can see how hard he trains.
Do you get
what I mean?
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
There are a lot of people in weightlifting, and look, don't get me wrong, I love the grace, I love the precision, I love the power, the kind of elegant nature of some people's technique.
The passion.
Lee Sang is an absolute horse of a human being.
Mm-hmm.
And there's something amazingly entertaining about watching this. Like, he's doing a set of 4 with 240 kilos, and 240 kilos is 3 point something times his body weight.
Yeah.
And he's reefing on it. I think people like to see that. People like to see that intent. You'll see time and time again in the comments of Lee Sang's videos, people are saying, like, this gives me such amazing motivation. Mm-hmm. So motivating to watch this guy. Because he is, for one, like, he is an absolutely powerful unit. But you actually see him struggling at some points, which you don't see a lot of other weightlifters doing. They'll do their set of 3 on a front squat and that's it. That's as much volume as they'll ever do on a front squat. Lee Sang is liable to do a set of 13 on a front squat and drive himself through it. We're not for a second saying that's what we'd want our athletes to do, what we would do ourselves. But there is something very, very inspiring about seeing an athlete pushing themselves that hard.
There is worth noting, obviously, that some aspects of his training are great. Like, we've talked a lot in the last year about general physical capacity in weightlifting, general physical preparedness being super important. And this isn't something new in weightlifting. This is something the Soviets would have heavily pioneered. They had specific numbers at specific levels of mastery of sport that they wanted athletes to be at, and they had a certain amount of training that would be dedicated towards GPP, and GPP covers not just your work capacity, which sometimes it can also be just thought of as more capacity and building that. But GPP is anything that's not specific to the snatch and clean and jerk. So strength, mobility, speed, plyometric work, yes, definitely work capacity, muscle building, balance, proprioception, any number of these and in any different combination makes up GPP for weightlifting. So some of the stuff he does is definitely some of the stuff you should be doing in your training. Like sets of 10 for a couple of weightlifters at different points of the year, great idea. A big deadlift definitely goes under the radar. And to be honest, I don't think we've talked about it just having a big pull enough. Like having a big squat is definitely very important. And unfortunately, sometimes with rhetoric online, when we start talking about something being important, sometimes what gets missed or misinterpreted or someone else talks about it is there's the assumption that the other stuff then isn't as important. So if we talk about a big squat being important or we talk about GPP being important, there's sometimes maybe this, because of the culture of training online, that then technique doesn't become important. But it's technique and strength and GPP. It's and. It's not or, it's and. So the problem there, for example, the reason we probably haven't talked about a huge amount about having a big pull is that it's not the most efficient way of being good at weightlifting, but it is valuable if there's right times of the year where we can fit that in. So we use pulls primarily as technical tools and speed tools as well to maintain positions. But if you're squatting 250 and you can not hit 250 on a deadlift, you're probably missing out on some of your ability for weightlifting because, of course, the pull from the floor is very, very important. It's just that they're very taxing. It's hard to get there. So, we put into context that if you're a beginner lifter, an intermediate lifter, most of the year chasing a big deadlift will just make you worse at the things that you need to practice now. But then once we can balance those things and get a bigger deadlift or get some more capacity at the right times of year, then they're going to be beneficial to you. So it's fitting those things in a right place is the problem. And so that's why we're always careful about how we talk, because if I tell you now, you need a big deadlift will help you clean and jerk more. There's only one real way to get a big deadlift. Having a big, strong squat is important, but you just have to do some heavy deadlifts. And in the period of time when you're doing those heavy deadlifts, for most people, especially if you're sucking at deadlifting right now, your back's going to be tired, your pulls are going to be slower, your squats are going to be worse, your technique is going to get worse in weightlifting, and you're going to be like, oh, this isn't good for my lifting. But that's where that systematic organization of training becomes really important. And that's how you didn't start balancing all these things. But maybe at no point do you need a 180 by 20 is the question. Would it be good if you looked like Lee Sang-yong or as lean as muscular as him? For sure. Is that feasible for most people? Probably not. But again, that scene from what's the Jamaican bobsleigh? I see passion, I see power. This is what I think of when I see Lee Sang, where I'm just, as a fan of weightlifting, as a coach, I'm like, ooh. And I saw his coach being like, But as a fan of weightlifting, I'm like, yeah, this is the guy. Like, this is a character. This is absolutely what a sport needs. It's just someone who's clearly got the passion to train crazy. Does it bother me that he doesn't make the Olympics or doesn't medal when he should? And could his technique be better? Bother is a strong word. But
it bothers me.
I love that he's a character that exists in weightlifting, in a sport that needs characters like this. So I'm glad he exists, and I don't think he should ever change.
The real question mark is, why is there a weightlifting belt? Baby. Why is there a weightlifting belt hanging on the outside of the bar?
Why not, Dara? Because the bar needs to be protected from Lee. That's why. Something
we've spoken about, but something that's rarely brought up, is the idea of an athlete leaning into their own particular advantages. So the idea of somebody who's incredibly strong becoming bullshit strong. The idea of somebody who has very good mobility continuing to push their mobility. The idea of somebody who's very fast continuing to develop their speed as much as they possibly can. In sports like weightlifting, oftentimes we're taught this kind of deficit-based approach where we look at an athlete, we say, this is their number one deficit. We're going to give that primary position with the training blocks. This is their number two deficit. We're going to give that secondary position with the training block. Number three, we'll give the third position. So we're basically attacking our deficits as much as we possibly can. The idea of that bringing up all of the silos of performance, like Gerf mentioned, bringing those all up to a fairly even base or an even keel. In some systems, and with some athletes and some coaches, they will go after a strength-based approach. So let's take a weightlifter, for example. Let's say it's Lee Sang, and he's really, really good at volume in the squats. Mightn't be so good when it gets up to, even though last year we saw some phenomenal 1 reps and 2 rep maxes on the back squat. But let's say, for example, it's not Lee Sang, but they're very, very good at 5s, 8s, 6s, 10s. But they don't do too well when they get to heavy singles or heavy doubles. In some structures, they'll have a strength-based approach. They'll continue to drive the 10s, 8s, 6s, and 5s up as hard as they possibly can, with the hopes that will gradually bring up the other deficits that are there. So imagine, rather than trying to bring all our silos up to an equal level here, rather, if we're at this position, we'll try and drag this one up and hope that those other deficits kind of come up at the same time. It's certainly not something that we recommend for everybody, but when you see an athlete like Lee Sang, who clearly has some talent and some amount of drive for those high voluminous working sets and incredibly hard strength accessory pieces, they're probably in that strength-based approach. They're probably recognizing an area of talent that Lee has. It might then be the fact that Lee actually needs higher body weight to strength ratios, or strength to body weight ratios, than many of the other lifters in the system. So for somebody else to go and snatch 150 kilos, they might need a 250 kilo squat. For Lee to do it, he actually might need closer to 280 kilos. And so what we're seeing is that slightly different approach to athletic development than you would see in some other systems. All theoretical, of course.
What is interesting about Lee is that he clearly has a physical capacity, and you'd have to wonder, just coming at this from a sport pundit and weightlifting coach side of things, is what he'd be hitting if he did adjust the technique a little bit. Like, the Korean technical model is excellent, and they have a very clear, cohesive model that they use with their beginners all the way to their athletes, and they have great coaching systems. They have multiple different clubs around the country. They're well supported, they're well paid, the staff are well paid, the coaches are great athletes themselves. So it would be interesting to see, personally, if he moved away from that really wide stance, no foot snatch, for example. I think the clean isn't really an issue, to be honest with him. He's just such a horse that it doesn't seem to make a big difference. If he kind of fix that jerk a little bit, maybe adjusted some things if possible. It's kind of hard to say how much that shoulder pain and how long that was going on and that was affecting him for. But it'd be interesting to see if he had a bit more collaboration with the traditional Korean technique that exists again around him on these other platforms that you're seeing. What would he lift? You know, one thing I'll never forget from the National Centre was that someone had a bucket of Hershey's like chocolates there. So they all get their own little desks. They all get their own little chairs. If you're really good, you can get your own special chair. But everyone has their like little snackies because they're training like 14, 15 times a week or whatever. So everyone has like their, whatever snack of choice and calories they're allowed. Obviously the bucket of Hershey's didn't belong to some of the lighter lifters, but
a big bucket
of Hershey's.
A bucket the size of your chest of Hershey's chocolates.
Hershey's chocolate's not even that nice.
No.
It's just kind of rank. But anyway, thanks for watching the new show. If you need help like this with your own training and you're a weightlifter and you're like, I need to plan my own training, I don't know what to do, there's so much to talk about and think about, and I hate training when I don't know what I'm doing and I need help, all you have to do is go to the link below, Sika Strength app. The main feature from the app, among all the programs you get access to, the dynamic loading adjustment, the programs that we've done with thousands of athletes and spent years writing and updating, is you get access to us and the coaching team, the coach chat. There is no restriction on it. You can send your messages. If you sign up for monthly, you get 2 videos per month. But if you sign up to the annual, €399 for a full year of training sorted, where it works out at about €32 per month. It's like €7 per week of training. Would you pay €7 for access to excellent coaches? You also get 4 videos per month, which the weightlifters love to use. And you can send those in. When you sign up to the annual, you actually just get your 48 in a row, so you can use them as needed. It's a no-brainer. For a full year of training sorted for €399, it's an absolute bargain. Tons of people signed up to it. We only launched annual a couple of weeks ago, less than a month ago at this stage. And it's such peace of mind because you've, at any point throughout the year, Monday through Friday, we man the chat and we make sure people get timely responses. And if there's someone watching this, feel free to testify, or you can go back to the main channel and watch Welcome to Sikistan, where we talk about some of the people who have left comments and this quality of service we want to offer, which is as good as possible. So you get access to that. In my opinion, it's a no-brainer for training. Get access to all the programs there currently. You can switch between them at any time. You can sign up to the app without entering card details. No password. You literally just go to the app, download it, enter your email, sends you verification code, and then you're free to go. No card details are taken. 7-day free trial. At the end of the 7 days, then you can decide what you want to do. I just highly recommend going straight on the annual. I know everyone wants to sell you something, but annual is just that. It's just a full year sorted. If I wasn't me and I was in your position back those years ago, when I was in college,
Oh my God.
I would have sold a calf, probably two calves at the time, and just bought annual.
If I were you, then you'd be me, and I'd use your body to get them.
I'd use your body and take Snazolol.
You can't stop me no matter who you are.